getting the data and understanding what are the best conditions for living life.
The speaker begins by admitting a reluctance to address the topic, having spent over 18 months steadfastly defending Carlos Alcaraz against various external factors like difficult draws, demanding schedules, and fatigue, always overlooking the more apparent issues. But this steadfast defense, however, ceased in April 2026. A pivotal moment arose with the Madrid Open, Alcaraz's home tournament, played on his preferred surface with an adoring crowd. Yet his pre-event preparation schedule revealed an array of public appearances, brand engagements, and celebrity commitments that would unnerve even a seasoned Hollywood publicist. In stark contrast, Jannik Sinner, his primary competitor, posted a training clip from a quiet court in the Italian Alps, devoid of guests, cameras, or galas, focusing solely on the ball and racket, embodying a hunger seemingly traded away by Alcaraz's inner circle. This sharp divergence served as a breaking point, necessitating the current explanation. It is now clear that Alcaraz's celebrity affiliations no longer represent a balanced lifestyle, but have become a quantifiable factor in a performance equation consistently yielding suboptimal outcomes, transforming the discussion from mere opinion to data-supported reality, with a clean pattern, precise timing, and consistent early exits that definitively prove a loss of focus. This is a narrative no other tennis media outlet has dared to voice, despite every major publication and analyst recognizing and feeling the implications of this story. The most compelling evidence stems from the past 2 months, beginning with Alcaraz's arrival at the 2026 Madrid Open, where his build-up was conspicuously dominated by non-tennis activities, his Instagram feed chronicling event appearances, branded content shoots, and a Champions League semi-final from a VIP box, presenting his home Masters 1000, a tournament he's expected to dominate annually, more as a press tour than a focused training block. His initial match in Madrid was unsettling, not an outright loss, but marked by a tight, scrappy, and unrefined performance uncharacteristic of his talent against an opponent outside the top 40, revealing a low first serve percentage and a half-second hesitation in his backhand movement, requiring the crowd to carry him through moments he'd normally master himself, a recent development demanding immediate attention. Extending back 4 months, the Indian Wells and Miami Sunshine double offered 2 of the season's most prestigious non-Grand Slam opportunities. Despite having won Indian Wells previously and understanding the conditions, Alcaraz exited in the quarterfinals there and, more tellingly, in the 3rd round in Miami, an outcome for a player of his caliber that transcends a mere blip to become a definitive statement of an absent performance level, corroborated by multiple analysts and undeniably unconnected to the draw. Between these 2 tournaments, his public schedule, while not scandalously or embarrassingly full, was consistently, quietly, and undeniably packed with non-tennis engagements, including a fashion campaign, a co-branded product launch, and appearances in cities far removed from the tournament locations, all carefully managed for optics but noticed by close followers of the sport. While defenders might argue that all top athletes have commercial commitments, citing Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, a critical distinction is often overlooked. Federer's commercial empire was meticulously integrated around his tennis, never compromising his preparation calendar, with tournaments always prioritized, and Nadal's off-court commitments during the season were almost monastic, focusing exclusively on his game without distractions like attending football matches weeks before Roland Garros. In contrast, Alcaraz's commercial and tennis calendars seem to operate with roughly equal priority, an observation not about his character but his support infrastructure, raising questions about whether his team is protecting his preparation with the same rigor as his legendary predecessors. Juan Carlos Ferrero, Alcaraz's coach since his teenage years and a former French Open champion, intimately understands the demands of winning Grand Slams on clay, and despite his demanding and precise coaching style, has consistently reiterated themes of freshness, hunger, selectivity, and energy protection in press conferences over the past year and a half, language not used for mere reassurance but indicative of an urgent need for change. The comparison with Jannik Sinner is not a superficial media trope but a fundamentally honest one. Sinner's ascent, marked by victories at the 2024 Australian and US Opens and his sustained World No. 1 ranking since 2025, is a testament to measurable game improvements. A heavier serve, a weaponized backhand, faster decision-making under pressure, all products of obsessive, focused, and deliberate work conducted away from public scrutiny. Sinner's off-court life during this period remained almost entirely private, characterized by training, competition, recovery, and minimal functional social media, shunning fashion weeks, VIP boxes, and public events during critical preparation windows, simply disappearing into his work. A lifestyle, whether admirable or extreme, demonstrably producing results at the pinnacle of the ATP rankings. The specific nature of Alcaraz's celebrity friendships, particularly his deep ties to the Real Madrid world and figures like Luka Modric, is significant not for gossip but for context, immersing him in one of global sport's most glamorous and high-stimulus environments, a perpetual media spectacle of matches, dinners, launches, and travel, which he actively sought and which has increasingly demanded his time. His massive social media following, now in the tens of millions, means every post, appearance, and celebrity friendship generates commercial value, creating an incentive structure that pushes him towards constant visibility and presence, precisely when his tennis career demands the opposite.
Then April 2026 arrived, and I stopped defending.
It requires more responsibility from you on a daily basis to prepare yourself for the biggest battle.
The optimal version of Carlos Alcaraz on the court is forged in privacy, through rigorous training, film study, and countless unseen hours of preparation that sponsors never film, and which do not magically expand to accommodate his celebrity commitments. Every hour devoted to his public persona is an hour subtracted from the foundational work, an arithmetical reality rather than a moral judgment. Alcaraz's own statements over the past year have been telling, publicly acknowledging fatigue not attributable to training and describing the challenge of managing the immense weight of being Carlos Alcaraz in 2025 and 2026, confessing that his name can feel heavier than his racket, an admission that should be analyzed as a structural flaw in his career management rather than dismissed as a comment on work-life balance. While 4 Grand Slams at 22 provide an extraordinary foundation, tennis history is replete with prodigies like Marat Safin, whose early triumphs were followed by years of unfulfilled potential due to lifestyle choices, or Nick Kyrgios, whose immense natural gifts were overshadowed by the surrounding circus. Alcaraz is distinct from them, possessing genuine work ethic, legitimate wins, and unquestionable talent, yet the trajectory of the past 18 months softening results. Consistent early exits from tournaments he should navigate deeper into, and a clear decline in freshness between the start and midpoint of seasons, strongly suggests an imbalance, with the explosion of his celebrity life serving as the most visible, documented, and time-stamped variable influencing this shift. His high-profile friendships are indeed a sign of diminishing focus, not because camaraderie conflicts with excellence, but because their sheer volume, frequency, and public nature have begun to erode the very dedication that forged his excellence. The proof is not a single poor tournament but 18 months of cumulative data, encompassing the Indian Wells third-round exit, the Instagram-documented Madrid build-up, Ferrero's revealing press conference remarks, the widening ranking gap with Sinner, and his fluctuating first-serve percentages in matches he should control, an undeniable cross-reference pattern of a player giving the world more of himself than his career currently demands. He holds 4 Grand Slams and has the opportunity to course-correct, but only if his inner circle prioritizes his preparation calendar as sacrosanct, if the commercial machine decelerates to allow the athlete to thrive, and crucially, if Alcaraz himself genuinely decides that the pursuit of the next Grand Slam title outweighs the allure of the next magazine cover. Roland Garros, weeks away, represents the ultimate test on his beloved clay, the tournament central to his identity where at his peak he has delivered performances ranking among the sport's greatest on that surface. How he appears there will decisively answer the central question of this analysis, not permanently but clearly enough to sway even his staunchest defenders. Should he arrive at Roland Garros in the same manner as Madrid, burdened by recent photo shoots, football matches, and events with preparation relegated to incidental gaps, the outcome will inevitably reflect it, as neither the draw Sinner nor the unforgiving clay will offer him any leniency. However, if he presents himself as he did at Wimbledon 2024, locked in, streamlined, and so dangerously focused that even Djokovic seemed vulnerable, then this entire conversation, his results, and his public narrative will dramatically shift. That is the version of Alcaraz the sport needs and the version his talent demands. But the pivotal question remains whether he desires it fiercely enough to choose it over the myriad offerings of the celebrity world. The answer is imminent, to unfold on the red clay before the world's most discerning tennis audience, against opponents who have meticulously prepared exactly as champions should. Therefore, watch closely as the next 60 days will reveal, more comprehensively than any media, whether Carlos Alcaraz remains fundamentally a tennis player who happens to be famous, or if he has fundamentally transformed into something else entirely. If this level of honest, unfiltered analysis is what resonates with you, subscribe and activate the notification bell, because this channel consistently delves into areas the mainstream coverage avoids, adhering to the evidence and fearless in its pursuit of truth.
Does not come from training.
When you reach your 30, you start counting your days to your retirement.
Right now.
Look in someone's eyes and you understand this person thinks good or thinks bad.
He is 22.